Welcome to Yehoshua's Daf Yomi Shiur, where the Daf continues daily until the complete revelation of Mashiach ben David, Messiah, the son of David. Today we will be studying Tractate Chullin, page 89, starting with 89a, top of the page. Actually, it just started a story where we're learning some very interesting stories. Agadata, as it's called. And it just started a new one, so it's stories per se, but like interesting explanations of verses. And so it was the last line of 88b, where it said, Rava said, V'schar she'amar Avraham Avinu. Rava says a reward for that which our patriarch Abraham said to the king of Sodom. And now we are on 89a, top of the page. Imichut v'ad sroch na'al zachu banav l'shtei mitzvot lechut shel techelet u'retzua shel tefillin. That I will not take a thread nor a shoe strap nor anything that is yours. That's in Genesis 14:23. Distancing himself from anything not rightfully his children merited 2 mitzvot. The thread of sky blue wool worn on ritual fringes, and the strap of phylacteries. The Gemara asks, granted, the strap of the phylacteries imparts benefit as it is written, and all the peoples of the earth shall see that the name of the Lord is called upon you, and they shall be afraid of you. Deuteronomy 28:10. And it is taught in a Braita that Rabbi Eliezer the Great says this is a reference to the phylacteries of the head, upon which the name of God is written. Phylacteries therefore impart the splendor and grandeur of God and are a fair reward. But what is the benefit imparted by the thread of sky blue wool? Tanya, we learned in the Braisa, Rabbi Meir Oimer, Man Yishtan Atcheles, Min Atziv Oimin, Bipnei Shetcheles, Domeliyah, Biyam Domelechiyah, V'Rakia Domeliyah, Even Sapir, V'Em Sapir Domelechis Yakavoid, Nichsiv, Vayiru es Elohei Yisroi Taras Raglo, B'Koi Meir, Uchsiv, Kemare Even Sapir Demos Kisei. We're about to encounter one of the most, we did, but in English, one of the most famous Gemaras here, well known. The Gemara answers, as it is taught in a Braita that Rabbi Meir would say, what is different about sky blue from all other colors? That it was specified for the mitzvah of ritual fringes. It is because sky blue dye is similar in its color to the sea, and the sea is similar in color to the sky, well, blue, and the sky is similar to the sapphire stone, and the sapphire stone is similar to the throne of glory, as it is stated, and they saw the God of Israel. They saw the God of Israel. Vayiru et Elohei Yisrael. How can you see God and live? It says, no? It says they saw the God of Israel. Vayiru et Elohei Yisrael. And there was under his feet, Tachat Raglav. God has feet? And there was under his feet the like of a paved work of sapphire stone, and the like of the very heaven for clearness. Exodus 24:10. Yeah. This verse shows that the heavens are similar to sapphire, and it is written, and above the firmament that was over their heads was the likeness of a throne, as the appearance of a sapphire stone. Ezekiel 1:26. Therefore, the throne is similar to the heavens. The color of the sky blue wool dye acts as an indication of the bond between the Jewish people and the divine presence. גוזל עליך שאפילו צדיקים גמורים אינם יכולים להחזירו שנאמר בלעדיי רק אשר אכלו הנאורים. The Gemara above mentioned that Abraham refused to accept property that did not belong to him. With regard to this, Rabbi Abba says, difficult is the return of theft that has been consumed, as even the perfectly righteous are unable to return it, as it is stated, that I will not take a thread, nor a shoe strap, nor anything that is yours, except only that which the young men have eaten with me. Genesis 14:23 through 24. Even the righteous Abraham was unable to return that which the young men had already consumed. Amar Yochanan, Mishu Amar Eliezer, Rabbi Elazar, Rabbi Shimon. Kol makom she'atem moiti dirav shel Rabbi Eliezer bno, shel Rabbi Eliezer yaglili v'yagadu. Aseh oznecho ka'apar kezis. לא מרובכם ולא מכל העמים מחשק השם בכם. V'go means the rest of the pasuk. אמר להם הקדוש ברוך הוא לישראל, חושקני בכם שאפילו בשעה שאני משפיע לכם גדולה, אתם ממעטין עצמכם לפניי. Rabbi Yochanan says in the name of Rabbi Elazar, the son of Rabbi Shimon, any place where you find the statements of Rabbi Eliezer, the son of Rabbi Yossi Aglili, in reference to Agadah, make your ears like a funnel, meaning be receptive to his words. As Rabbi Eliezer interpreted the verse, not because you are more in number than any people did the Lord desire you and choose you, for you were the fewest of all peoples. Deuteronomy 7:7. It's right around our parsha, either last week or this week, very close. At the end of last week's parsha, right? I think, yep. As follows, the Holy One blessed be said to the Jewish people, I desire you, since even at a time that I bestow greatness upon you, you diminish, meaning you humble yourselves before me. נסעתי גדול לפני אנוכי עפר ואפר, למשה ואהרון אמר ואנחנו מה, לדוד אמר ואנוכי תהילס ולא איש. I granted greatness to Abraham, yet he said before me, I am but dust and ashes. Genesis 18:27. I granted greatness to Moses and Aaron, yet Moses said, of the two of them, and what are we? Exodus 16:7. I granted greatness to David, and he said, but I am a worm and a man. Psalms 22, verse 7. Avalumas oilam. Einon King. Sati Gdulamo, Linimrod Amar, Hovanim Lanuio, the Paro, Amar, Mi Hashem, the Sancherev, Amar, Mi Bachol, Eloyero, so it's go Liburanetso, Amar, Ele Albomoseo. The Hirom, Melzo, Amar, Moshe Elohim, Nishavti Belevi Amim. But the Gentile nations of the world are not so. I grant the greatness to Nimrod, and he said, come, let us build a city and a tower, with its top in heaven, and let us make for ourselves a name. Genesis 11:4. I granted greatness to Pharaoh, and he said, who is the Lord? Exodus 5:2. I granted greatness to Sancherev, and yet he said, who are they among all the gods of the countries that have delivered their country out of my hand, that the Lord should deliver Jerusalem out of my hand? 2 Kings 18:35. I granted greatness to Nebuchadnezzar, and yet he said, I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. Isaiah 14:14. There's different interpretations of that, but okay. I granted greatness to Hiram, king of Tyre, and yet he said, I sit in the seat of God, in the heart of the seas. Ezekiel 28, verse 2. אמר רבא ויתם רבי יוחנן, גדול שנאמר במוישה ואהרון יותר ממה שנאמר באברהם. דאילו באברהם כתיב, ואנוכי יום ואפר, פירו במוישה ואהרון כתיב, ואנחנו מה? ואמר רבא ויתם רבי יוחנן, אינו אלא בשקיים אלא בשביל מוישה ואהרון. כתיב אוכו ואנחנו מה? כתיב הוסו ונדוילה צל בלימו. The Gemara relates, Rava says, and some say that Rabbi Yochanan says, greater is that which is stated with regard to Moses and Aaron than that which is stated with regard to Abraham. As with regard to Abraham, it is written, and nine but dust and ashes, while with regard to Moses and Aaron, it is written, and what are we? And what are we? Not even, meaning, we're not even dust and ashes. And Rava says, and some say, Rabbi Yochanan says, the world endures only in the merit of Moses and Aaron. It is written here, and what are we? And it is written elsewhere, he hangs the earth upon nothing. Job 26:7, that is, the earth endures in the merit of those who said of themselves, they are nothing. Meaning Moses and Aaron. Amar Rabbi Lo, ein oilam miskaimel b'shvil mi shebo oilam es atzmo b'shas meriba shebolem et atzmo b'shas meriba shneimar Torah le'eretz al benimo. Rabbi Baruch Amar mi shemeisi matzmo kemi she'eno shneimar mitachas rois oilam. With regard to that verse, Rabbi Elas says, the world endures only in the merit of one who restrains himself during a quarrel. As it is stated, he hangs the earth upon nothing. Rabbi Abahu says the world endures only in the merit of one who renders himself as if he were non-existent, as it is stated. And underneath are the everlasting arms, Deuteronomy 33, verse 27. Meaning, one who considers himself to be underneath everything else is the everlasting arm that upholds the world. Amar Rabbi Yitzchak Mai Dichsiv He'unam Elim Tzedek Titaberu Meishov Nishpoitu B'nei Adam Ma Umanuso Shel Adam Oilo Vazeh Yosim Asoi Ki Ilem Yochel Af L'Divrei Toiro Tamid Lomar Tzedek Titaberu Yochel Yagis Tato Tamid Lomar Meishov Nishpoitu B'nei Adam. Rabbi Yitzchak says, what is the meaning of that which is written? Do you indeed speak as a righteous company? Elam? Do you judge with equity the sons of men? Psalms 58 verse 2. The verse is interpreted as follows. What should be a person's occupation in this world? He should render himself silent as a mute. If so, one might have thought that he should render himself as a mute even with regard to words of Torah. Therefore, the verse states, speak as a righteous company, indicating that one should speak the righteous words of Torah. If so, he might have thought that one who speaks words of Torah has the right to become arrogant. Therefore, the verse states, judge with equity the sons of men. Even a learned judge must take extra care to judge with equity, and not to assume that he will immediately arrive at the correct understanding. Amar of the Iro, between Rabba Bar Yirmiyah Mechas and Rava Yenidachas Yamai Yisro ben Alhi Anahu. The Gemara returns to discuss the mitzvah of covering the blood. Rabbi Zera says, and some say that Rabbi Abba Bar Yirmiyah says, one may cover the blood of an undomesticated animal or bird with the dust of an idolatrous city. And Yenidachas, the Torah states that the city and anything contained therein must be burned. See Deuteronomy 13:17. The Gemara, assuming that the statement of Rabbi Zera refers to the ashes of a burned idolatrous city, asks, but why may one use these ashes to cover the blood? These ashes are items from which deriving benefit is prohibited. As the verse states, and there shall cleave none of the banned property to your hand. Deuteronomy 13:18. Amen Zeiri, lo nitral afafo, dechsiv. ועל כל שללה תקבוץ אל תוך רחובה ושרפת. מי שאין מחוץ על קביצה שריפה, יצא זה שמחוץ תלישה קביצה שריפה. So Eri said Rabbi Zera is not referring to the ashes of the burned city which may not be used. Rather, this statement is necessary only concerning the dust of its dust, meaning the dust of the ground of the idolatrous city from which drawing benefit is not prohibited. As it is written, you shall gather all its spoil in the midst of the broad place thereof, and shall burn the city with fire. Shall burn with fire the city. Same thing. Deuteronomy 13:17. According to items lacking, only the acts of gathering and burning must be burned. This serves to exclude this dust of the ground, which lacks the acts of removal from the ground, gathering and burning. The dust must also be removed from the ground before it can be gathered and burned. And Rava says one can't even use the ashes from the idolatrous sitting to cover the blood, despite the fact that it's prohibited to derive any benefit from them. This is because mitzvahs were not given for benefit. That is, the fulfillment of a mitzvah is not considered deriving benefit, but the fulfillment of a divine decree. The Gemara relates that Ravina was sitting and saying this halacha, that one may use the ashes of an idolatrous city to cover the blood. Rav Rechumi raised an objection to Ravina from a Braita with regard to the shofar of idolatrous worship, from which it is prohibited to derive benefit. One may not blow with it. What, is it not that the Braita means to say that if one blew with it, he has not fulfilled the obligation? The response, no. The Braita means that one should not use such a shofar of an ishio, the chatchilo, but if one blew with it, he has fulfilled the obligation. Lulav shel avoy nezor lo yitoil, my love, im not lo yotzo. Lo, im not lo yotzo, gatanyo, tokar yotzo, not lo yotzo. Rav Rechumi persists. It is taught in another brisa that with regard to a lulav of idol worship, one may not take it to perform the mitzvah. What? Is it not that the Braita means to say that if one took such a lulav, he has not fulfilled his obligation? The Gemara responds, no. The Braita means that one should not use such a lulav ab initio, meaning lechatchila, but if one took it, he has fulfilled his obligation. The Gemara asks, but isn't it taught in a Braita? Then if one blew a shofar of idolatry, he has not fulfilled his obligation. And isn't it taught in another Braita that if one took a lulav of idolatry to perform the mitzvah, he has not fulfilled his obligation? Amravashi, Haki Hashda. We're turning to the next page now and finishing off the parak. Be'ez Hashem. Hasam shiura beinon avoizare shiura beinon ve'avoizare katote makadat shiura hacha kol ma di makatat ma'alei lechisui hadran aloch kisui hadam. Okay. So Rav Ashi said in response, how can these cases be compared to the case of covering the blood? There, with regard to a shofar and lulav of idol worship, although the use of such items for a mitzvah does not constitute benefit, one cannot fulfill his obligation with them because, now we're turning to 89b to conclude this chapter, we require a minimum measure in order to fulfill these mitzvot. A shofar must be large enough that when in grasp, parts of it protrudes from both sides of one's hand, and a lulav must be at least 4 handbreadths long. And since an object of idol worship and its effects must be burned, its size as required for the mitzvah is seen by halacha as crushed into powder. Since a shofar or lulav of idol worship is destined for burning, it is considered as if it is already burned, and it therefore lacks the requisite measurement for fulfilling the mitzvah. By contrast, here, with regard to the ashes used to perform the mitzvah of covering the blood, no minimum measure is required to fulfill the mitzvah. In fact, the more the ash is crushed, the better it is for the mitzvah of covering the blood. Hadran alach kisui hadam. May we return to you the 6th parak of Chullin, kisui hadam, and we will continue Bezrat Hashem, the next chapter, the 7th chapter, Gid Hanosha, in the next video.